Hello and welcome to Dice and Demons. I'm Emma, and in this video I want to talk about painting Ork Boyz, painting Darkoath, building a Stomper, and visiting a flea market, with like a hobby flea market, with the intention of selling stuff. And I'll let you know how that turned out at the end of the video. But first of all, I want to talk about painting Ork Boyz. So this might be a slightly weird topic for a video that's not a tutorial, but I've done, I think, 2 or 3 tutorials of just painting Ork Boyz, so I'm not going to bore you with a 3rd or 4th video of that. You can just go back in the video library and find that. Now, why I want to talk about Ork Boyz is because I have had 4 Ork Boyz. It's these 4 guys here that you can see, and yeah, you can't. Okay, so I of course positioned them with their back to the camera because that's how savvy I am with the video filming and everything. But anyways, these 4 Ork Boyz had been lying around in my sort of, pile of opportunity, pile of shame, call it what you will, but in my huge pile of half-finished models. So like I have a ton of stuff that I started out with and feeling, really enthusiastic, and then sort of just dropped it somewhere along the way. Some of the models in that huge pile are almost done. Some of them have just had a single layer of coat somewhere, and all the steps in between. But these 4 Ork Boyz were about halfway finished, so they had more or less the first layer of paint on them, which is just a layer of speed paint or contrast paint. But I needed to do all the highlights and the shading and stuff like that. And I think they've been lying around there for about half a year, maybe more. And it's just 4 Ork Boyz, and I am not really sure if I need them or not for my Bubblegum Boys army. I'm not quite sure how many Ork Boyz I've actually have that are painted and ready to go, somewhere around 60 or 70. And so I have quite a few. So it's not like I really desperately need them for a tournament or anything. But I had a day, I think it was Monday, and I was feeling like I wanted to hobby, but I was also tired. There wasn't anything wrong. I was just really tired, and so I felt like I just couldn't make any sort of creative decisions. But at the same time, painting for me is also a way to relax and just not think of anything in particular, and just listen to an audiobook or watch some YouTube while I'm painting. And I wanted to do that, but it really needed to be something that was low effort, low stress, no decisions involved whatsoever. And that's when I noticed my very sweet dear Ork Boyz, and I decided now was the day to actually do something about them. And so, fished them out of the pile, and overhearing the loud shouts from the rest of the poor models lying in that huge pile, pick me. But I didn't. I picked those 4 Ork Boyz, and I painted them up, and I think I spent a couple of hours painting them, and I put them on bases, and I felt so really proud of this final step. I even put magnets on them, you guys. I put them on magnets, so now they will go in my tray with magnets. And I usually skip that step because I don't like putting magnets on models. It's boring and it's a little bit messy. But then I thought, okay, if I do this right now, they are completely done. There is nothing more to do about them. They don't need any touch-ups. They don't need anything. They're just ready to go. So I felt really proud about, particularly the magnet part. I think it probably took me about 5 minutes. So huge investment in time and energy there. But what I want to say with these 4 Ork Boyz is actually that sometimes just finishing something, even if it's not something you really definitely need for a particular army or a kill team or warband or whatever, but it's just lying around, and sometimes it can be a little bit stressful to have a huge pile of stuff that you think, before I start something new, I really should do something about that. And if you have too many I should projects lying around staring you in the face, that can drain the hobby energy before you even get going. So I try to, that's why I also went to like the secondhand flea market hobby thing in the weekend, because I wanted to just get a whole load of projects off my back. And as I said, I'll get back to how that particular venture went. No, but just doing something, finishing something, even if it's just something as relatively low effort as a couple of Ork Boyz. It can just feel like such an accomplishment. I was so happy with these 4 Ork Boyz, and they look just like the rest of the Ork Boyz. And as I said, I have 60 or 70 of them, so this is not like a huge creative like breakthrough or anything. This is just business as usual, basically. Sorry, just had to make a short stop because, as you'll probably see in the background, my dog Crusher decided to join the video. So yeah. Say hello to Crusher. He is a really, really dear hobby companion. He is a 13-year-old miniature poodle, and he's amazing. I love him to bits, even though sometimes he messes up the audio on my videos. But you can't have everything all the time. So another thing I was really happy about this week is that I started painting my Darkoath miniatures. So Games Workshop kind of sent me their new box of Darkoath miniatures for Age of Sigmar, and I've had them for about a week or two, and I really, really like these models. I think they are super, super cool. And I've built them up, not the entire box, but some of them, and then they've just been lying there staring at me, just sort of it almost feels like they are just taunting me, because I think they have a lot of skin, they have a lot of leather, they have a lot of fur, so they just have a lot of textures that I would usually assume had to be in more sort of earthy tones. And if you know this channel just a tiny little bit, you'll probably be aware that earthy tones are not exactly what I do most of around here. So I just didn't know how to paint them, and I couldn't get started. And then one day I just thought, well, you know what? I'll just give it a go. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have any grand paint scheme or color scheme made up in my mind. Well, I very rarely do when I paint stuff, to be completely honest. But I usually have sort of a vague idea of where I want to go, and I really didn't. I just knew I wanted to do something that I thought was fun, something that looked kind of cool, and something that I could perhaps see myself replicate throughout an entire army, just because I really, really like these models. I could see myself building an entire force of these, just because, as I said, I genuinely think they are amazing and just really, really cool. So I tried that, and I painted something up, and it's a little bit different from what I usually paint, but I ended up being really happy with it. And yeah, I'll also show a photo, because she's not quite done yet. She needs her base and stuff. Yeah, and the colors don't really come across well on the camera, but yeah, I'll put in a photo that's a little bit better, so you can see her more like what she actually looks like. And for some reason, I really had the most fun time painting her, even though I didn't know what I was doing, and I was feeling a little bit off balance, because I thought I was gonna go in a direction that I'm not very familiar with. I was gonna be painting a lot of skin, and that's something I usually avoid more or less, unless it's painting green skin on orcs, because that is for some reason completely different in my mind. And I also knew I wanted it to be painted up in sort of a nice tabletop quality that I would be happy to put on a table, but at the same time not so time consuming that I could only see myself painting 1 or 2 models. So it's something I would like to be able to, as I said, perhaps put on an entire army. So it really needed to have sort of a cost benefit analysis. So how much time and effort am I willing to put into it, and what is the final result that I'm going to be looking for then. And I think I'm fairly close with this one. I'm not quite sure how I want to base her yet. So that'll be something I'll be experimenting with a little bit, and then I'll do a tutorial for her in the coming week. Yeah, it was just amazing just to sort of let go of my preconceived ideas of what I wanted to achieve and just paint and let the model just sort of be the guideline almost. Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to explain, but it was actually very just a really nice painting experience, and I was thoroughly enjoying myself, even though I was actually spending quite a lot of time painting skin and brown leather, which is not, as I said, it's not my forte. It's not something that I usually enjoy that much. But on this particular model, it just made so much sense to me, and it was just awesome. And I really really like these models. So then I also had another hobby experience this week, and I don't want to be ranty because I don't much enjoy listening to people who rant too much or are, yeah, it's just not something I enjoy, because when I watch hobby videos, I watch them to have fun. And so I really enjoy it if people are also like sounding like they're having fun and enjoying what they're doing. But you guys, I'm building a stomper. And this is cool, it's the body of the stomper. It's big, it's huge, it's silly. It looks like a flower pot turned upside down. So you can imagine having, if I hadn't put the bottom in, I could just easily, have some orchids or whatever in this beautiful flower pot. So it's silly and it's stupid and I love it, but building it, no. That is just... This, I think, is actually the worst building experience I have ever had with Games Workshop models, ever. They're just... these building instructions... Just wait a minute, I'll show you one of the pages, because... okay, so maybe I'm just the one being not quite bright here. That might also very well be the case. There are no numbers, and I know you can go on Reddit and stuff and finding people, instructions from people who have actually listed the numbers, which can be really helpful. But I have no idea where each little tiny bit is actually going, because I'm not very gifted when it comes to building models. It's not the part of the hobby I enjoy the most. And I think you have people can have different IQs or whatever. So some people are really gifted at music, and some are gifted at languages, and some are with, numbers and mathematics. And some people have a lot of spatial awareness. They can sort of just figure out how things are placed in relation to each other. That's not me. I can even screw up really nice new building manuals from brand new kits from Games Workshop. I can screw that up easily. So something like this has been a nightmare, and I've been so frustrated. At one point I had to have my wife come in and be sort of like, it's gonna be okay, honey, no one will notice, it looks just fine. And I know it's an orky thing, and if you mess it up and something is not quite aligned the way it should be, I mean, it's for orcs, who cares? And that is usually also my take on building orky stuff. Just put it wherever, and I do a lot of scratch building and kit bashing, and when I'm doing those, I don't mind at all. But this is, it's a big expensive kit from Games Workshop, and it just really annoys me that this is such a bad building experience. If I want to mess it up, then it should be my choice, because I've decided, well, I don't like the way that shoulder looks, and not because I end up going, you know what, I have absolutely no clue how to position it, so now I'll just do something different. I think there's a big difference between the two. Choosing to, do something on your own that you just want to do because it could be fun, I'm completely behind that. I completely support that. But just ending up doing some things because you can't really read the instructions, I mean, no. That's not okay. Games Workshop, you need to do better with the building instructions, because the Stomper is a really fun kit and I can't wait to paint it. But building it, That's been a nightmare. I'm sorry, but that's just my opinion. So I just want just a tiny positive note with the Stomper. You can build it in sub-assemblies, which is awesome because I definitely preferred that. So I have, as I said, the big flower pot body, and I have the head. It's not quite done. I have thought about, I mean, it's supposed to just go here, of course. How about, you know, a spring? Bounce, 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 bounce. You could have like a bouncy Stomper head. I think that would be fun. A lot of my Ork kits are mounted on springs or something like that, just because I think it's fun and silly. And I think the Stomper itself is perhaps too big for me to want to try and actually construct something with springs underneath it so that the entire thing is bouncy. So perhaps I'll just settle for the head, but that I think could be fun. So I am looking forward to painting the Stomper and putting it on a tabletop. I know it's not supposed to be really great with the rules and stuff, but I don't really care at this point because it's a Stomper and it's big and it's silly, and I'm probably not gonna take it to a tournament or something. On the other hand, I might actually do so just because it would be fun. I don't know. I think it's silly. I think it's fun, and I am really happy I have it. And I'm very relieved that I am done building it because, boy, that was quite the hobby experience, I would say. So, lastly, I want to talk about the secondhand hobby flea market thing I went to yesterday, and I did sell a lot of stuff because, as I said, I have a huge pile of stuff. Some of it has been painted a little bit, and some of it has been built, and some of it has never even been opened, and I got to just sell a whole bunch of that, and that felt really great because now I have just a little bit of space in my hobby room again, which is awesome. I also, however, kind of brought home some stuff, and I'll just quickly show it to you guys. So this might just be me, but I really like old White Dwarf magazines. So I have quite the collection already, but someone was selling a huge bunch of these, and so I kind of bought them all. I think I have I don't know, 15 to 20 new old White Dwarf magazines, and I really enjoy reading these, and I can read them over and over again, and I don't know why. I don't know why. It's just something about. I think they have a lot of charm and a lot of real enthusiasm for the hobby. It feels so genuine, and it feels like it's a smaller company, Games Workshop at that time, and it's all just sort of a little bit more fresh and a little bit more. It feels a little bit more genuine somehow, and they also have more. There's a little bit more humor in the writing. For instance, there is a job ad, and it says I think someone who should be able to do like editorial work or whatever, and they describe all the relevant information and what they require from a new employee, and you know, all sorts of things, boring stuff like job ad. And then it just says at the end, worth noting, you should also be able to sing and dance. It's like, that's just silly, you know. I don't think you actually need to be able to sing and dance, but I just think it says something about the tone of the magazine and the company at that time. Like, whoever writes a job ad where it just ends off with like such a weird and fun comment, you should also be able to sing and dance while editing a magazine or whatever. I don't know. I just think they're fun, and I'm so happy I got so many of these. I also found this book, which is called Terrain Essentials, and it's by Mel Bose, the terrain tutor. He has a bunch of videos here on YouTube, and they're really, really good. I don't know if he makes videos anymore, but he did it at one point, and he just knows a whole lot of stuff. And I found this book used and at a really good price. So I can't wait to read through it and hopefully get a lot of inspiration for future terrain projects. So I was just really happy to find this book. And my wife and I did have an agreement that we were going to sort of scale down a little bit with our books, because I think at one point we had about 2,000 books, and that's slightly too many books for our house that is not that big. So we were looking to have just not quite as many books. But then, you know, what happens from time to time, there's just books that are calling your name, and they need to find a place in one of your bookshelves. So I couldn't help myself. It was just something that I had to get. And the last things I bought, I really wasn't looking to buy any models because, as I said, I was there to, you know, sell stuff that I didn't need. But well, a couple of guys were selling old bikes, and I don't know how old these actually are. It's a little bit difficult to see here on the video, but these are, they have a slight discoloration. I think they have been out in the sun since perhaps, I don't know, the 1980s or 90s or something. They're not very well put together, and they have a lot of mold lines and old glue and stuff. But I don't really mind because I'm gonna turn them into bikes for my orcs. And it'll be a sort of kit bash project because I think they're a little bit too small. Actually, I think the old Ork Boyz will fit nicely on top of these, but I think the model itself is just a little bit too small compared to sort of official orc bikes. So I'm just gonna be putting some plastic cards and stuff on it, and perhaps a bigger gun or something like that, just to increase the size and volume a little bit and make it look a bit more orky and a bit more like it was sort of meant to be, and not just putting an orc on. I don't know if it's an imperial bike or whatever it is. I don't really know this model. I don't know what it actually is. It has a skull on the front, but I don't think that's not very informative, because I think all of Games Workshop is filled with guys and gals who love putting skulls on everything, which is, by the way, a design decision that I completely applaud. I think the skulls are cool, but it just doesn't tell me a lot about what this is. But I think I bought about 7 or 8 of these bikes, and at least 3 of them I'll turn into bikes for my Ork Boyz. And then I'm thinking, I'm not really fond of the official Devcopter models, so perhaps putting an Ork Boy on this one, and then just some sort of, I don't know, pole or whatever, and then some chopper wings. I mean, it could be a Devcopter. Perhaps. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. But I'm looking forward to doing something with these as well. But perhaps I'll paint the Stomper first. I'm not quite sure. So next week I will be working more on the Stomper, that's for sure. And I will also be finishing the first Darkoath model and make a tutorial of that. And probably spend a lot of time reading old White Dwarf magazines. So let me know, what did you do this weekend or this week in your hobby. I hope you had a good time, and I would also like to know what you are planning for the next week and what you are looking forward to the most. So let me know if you have any sort of questions, comments, suggestions for future videos as well. I always look forward to hearing from you guys, and I do my very best to get back to as many of you as I can. So that was all for me today. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!